Dear fellow truth seekers, thank you and welcome for visiting my channel, MythoReligio. MythoReligio is a video channel based on a book series with the same name about religious comparison studies between the stories in Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Hinduism and Buddhism, directly from their sacred books and world mythologies, hence the name MythoReligio. The purpose is to retrace the prehistory of humanity, since I'm not fully satisfied with either the explanations from the point of view of creationist nor evolutionist. There are so many missing links in both explanations. If you feel the same, then you are on the right channel. In this channel, I will also analyze about the prehistory of humanity from the archaeological records, modern scientific point of view, and other alternative theories such as the ancient alien theories and Atlantis or Lemuria legends. After thorough research of circa 30 years, I recognize many similarities between all religious stories and even mythologies, and surprisingly, some of them are in accordance or even beyond modern science that have been proven as correct. Thus, I came to the conclusion that all religions must have come from the same source. And all these religious stories and mythologies, although heavily jumbled up, are actually telling one mega story, the true prehistory of our common ancestors. This mega story is quite different than what we have been told to believe and will truly blow your mind, as it is more fascinating than our imagination. If you have watched the earlier videos in this channel, I believe you can see some of the similarities too. If you haven't and you truly want to do a religious comparative study, I suggest that you do so. The best way to do a comprehensive religious study via this channel is by watching the videos starting from number 1 and continue until this present video and so on. That way you will see a clear pattern. In this channel, I will share almost all that I have written in my book series. However, there is one book so far that I cannot share in this channel due to its sensitive, shocking and dark nature, and also might be considered controversial to some, but I believe it sheds more light to the above conclusion. If you want to read this around 500 pages ebook with many full-color illustrations, you are more than welcome to download book number 5 entitled History of the Dark Side, that is available for free in ebook format that can be found in my website www.mythoreligio.com. You only have to give your email address and it will be sent to you directly. And no, I won't share your email address nor send any advertisement. The link is in the description box. If you want to get the physical book, kindly go to amazon.com. Now let's continue with this week's video. Science versus Religion. Evolution from Apes to Humans. Part 2. Is it possible? Dear fellow truth seekers, for the last few weeks I have shared with you the scientific theories on the origin of life, i.e., the theory of evolution and the Big Bang Theory, for our religious versus science comparison study. I did this in order to find answers to the questions that are not answered satisfactorily by religion. In the last video, I have shared with you one of the many missing links in the theory of evolution that haven't been answered by science satisfactorily, i.e., about the hominid evolution from apes to Australopithecus, the supposed ape-like ancestors of humans. Now let's continue to analyze the next stage in the hominid evolution. Homo habilis. Homo habilis means skillful man, that is, man capable of using tools. The classification of Homo habilis was put forward in the 1960s by the Leakeys, a family of fossil hunters. Homo habilis had a relatively large cranial capacity, the ability to walk upright, and to use stone and wooden tools. Homo habilis is believed to be the link of evolution from ape to man. However, new fossils of the same species unearthed in the late 1980s have changed this view. Some researchers, such as Bernard Wood and C. Loring Brace, who relied on those newly found fossils, stated that Homo habilis should be classified as Australopithecus habilis, or skillful southern ape, because Homo habilis had a lot of characteristics in common with the Australopithecine apes. It had long arms, short legs, and ape-like skeletal structure, just like Australopithecus. Its fingers and toes were suitable for climbing. Their jaw was very similar to that of today's apes. Their 600 cc average cranial capacity is also an indication of the fact that they were apes. The new Homo habilis fossil Tim White unearthed in 1986 and named as OH62 showed that Homo habilis had long arms and short legs, just like contemporary apes. This fossil put an end to the assertion proposing that Homo habilis was a bipedal, being able to walk upright. Research carried out in the years since Wood and Brace's work has demonstrated that Homo habilis was indeed no different from Australopithecus. The skull and skeletal fossil OH62 found by Tim White showed that the species had a small cranial capacity as well as long arms and short legs, which enabled them to climb trees just like apes of our modern day do. The detailed analysis conducted by American anthropologist Holly Smith in 1994 indicated that Homo habilis was not Homo, in other words, human at all, but rather unequivocally an ape. Speaking of the analysis she made on the teeth of Australopithecus, Homo habilis, Homo erectus, and Homo neanderthalensis, Smith stated the following: restricting analysis of fossils to specimens satisfying this criteria, patterns of dental development of gracile Australopithecines and Homo habilis remain classified as African apes. Those of Homo erectus and Neanderthals are classified with humans. Holly Smith, American Journal of Physical Anthropology, Volume 94, 1994, page 307 till 325. Within the same year, Fred Spoor, Bernard Wood, and Franz Sonnefeld, all specialists on anatomy, reached a similar conclusion through a totally different method. This method was based on the comparative analysis of the semicircular canals in the inner ear of humans and apes, which provided for sustaining balance. Spoor, Wood, and Sonnefeld concluded that among the fossil hominids in the earliest species to demonstrate the modern human morphology is Homo erectus. In contrast, the semicircular canal dimensions in crania from southern Africa attributed to Australopithecus and Paranthropus resemble those of the extant great apes. Fred Spoor, Bernard Wood, Franz Sonnefeld, Implication of Early Hominid Labyrinthine Morphology for Evolution of Human Bipedal Locomotion. Nature, Volume 369, June 23, 1994, page 645 till 648. Spoor, Wood, and Sonnefeld also studied a Homo habilis specimen, namely STW53, and found out that STW53 relied less on bipedal behavior than the Australopithecines. This meant that the Homo habilis specimen was even more ape-like than the Australopithecus species. Thus they concluded that STW53 represents an unlikely intermediate between the morphologies seen in the Australopithecines and Homo erectus. This finding yielded two important results. 1. Fossils referred to as Homo habilis did not actually belong to the genus Homo, i.e. humans, but to that of Australopithecus, i.e. apes. 2. Both Homo habilis and Australopithecus were creatures that walked stooped forward, that is to say, they had the skeleton of an ape. They have no relation whatsoever to man. In short, Homo habilis too was most likely another ape species, just like all the other Australopithecines. Homo rudolfensis. The term Homo rudolfensis is the name given to a few fossil fragments unearthed in 1972. The species supposedly represented by this fossil was designated Homo rudolfensis because these fossil fragments were found in the vicinity of Lake Rudolph in Kenya. Most of the paleoanthropologists accept that these fossils do not belong to a distinct species, but that the creature called Homo rudolfensis is in fact indistinguishable from Homo habilis. Richard Leakey, who unearthed the fossils, presented the skull designated KNMER 1470, which he said was 2.8 million years old, as the greatest discovery in the history of anthropology. According to Leakey, this creature, which had a small cranial capacity like that of Australopithecus, together with a face similar to that of present-day humans, was the missing link between Australopithecus and humans. Yet, after a short while it was realized that the human-like face of the KNMER 1470 skull, which frequently appeared on the covers of scientific journals and popular science magazines, was the result of the incorrect assembly of the skull fragments, which may have been deliberate. Professor Tim Bromwich, who conducts studies on human facial anatomy, brought this to light by the help of computer simulations in 1992. When it, KNMER 1470, was first reconstructed, the face was fitted to the cranium in an almost vertical position, much like the flat faces of modern humans. But recent studies of anatomical relationships show that in life the face must have jutted out considerably, creating an ape-like aspect, rather like the faces of Australopithecus. Tim Bromwich, New Scientist, Volume 133, 1992, page 38-41. The evolutionist paleoanthropologist G. E. Cronin states the following on the matter. Its relatively robustly constructed face, flattish naso-alveolar clevus, recalling Australopithecine dished faces, low maximum cranial width on the temporals, strong canine yuga, and large molars as indicated by remaining roots are all relatively primitive traits which ally the specimen with members of the taxon Australopithecus africanus. G. E. Cronin, N. T. Boas, C. B. Stringer, Y. Rack, Tempo and Mode in Hominid Evolution. Nature, Volume 292, 1981, page 113 till 122. C. Loring Brace from Michigan University came to the same conclusion. As a result of the analysis he conducted on the jaw and tooth structure of skull 1470, he reported that, from the size of the palate and the expansion of the area allotted to molar roots, it would appear that ER 1470 retained a fully Australopithecus-sized face and dentition. C. L. Brace, H. Nelson, N. Korn, M. L. Brace, Atlas of Human Evolution, New York, Reinhardt and Wilson, 1979. Professor Alan Walker, a paleoanthropologist from Johns Hopkins University, who has done as much research on KNMER 1470 as Leakey, maintains that this creature should not be classified as a member of Homo, i.e. as a human species, but rather should be placed in the Australopithecus genus. Alan Walker, Scientific American, Volume 239, 1978, page 54. In summary, classifications like Homo habilis or Homo rudolfensis, which are presented as transitional links between the Australopithecines and Homo erectus, are still a matter of dispute. It has been confirmed by many researchers today that these creatures are members of the Australopithecus series. All of their anatomical features reveal that they are species of ape. This fact has been further established by two evolutionist anthropologists, Bernard Wood and Mark Collard, whose research was published in 1999 in Science magazine. Wood and Collard explained that the Homo habilis and Homo rudolfensis, or skull 1470 taxa, are imaginary, and that the fossils assigned to this category should be attributed to the genus Australopithecus. More recently, fossil species have been assigned to Homo on the basis of absolute brain size, inferences about language ability and hand function, and retrodictions about their ability to fashion stone tools. With only a few exceptions, the definition and use of the genus within human evolution and the demarcation of Homo have been treated as if they are unproblematic. But recent data, fresh interpretations of the existing evidence, and the limitations of the paleoanthropological record invalidate existing criteria for attributing taxa to Homo. In practice, fossil hominid species are assigned to Homo on the basis of one or more out of 4 criteria. It is now evident, however, that none of these criteria is satisfactory. The cerebral Rubicon is problematic because absolute cranial capacity is of questionable biological significance. Likewise, there is compelling evidence that language function cannot be reliably inferred from the gross appearance of the brain, and that the language-related parts of the brain are not as well localized as earlier studies had implied. In other words, with the hyponyms of Homo habilis and Homo rudolfensis assigned to it, the genus Homo is not a good genus. Thus, Homo habilis and Homo rudolfensis, or Homo habilis sensu lato, for those who do not subscribe to the taxonomic subdivision of early Homo, should be removed from Homo. The obvious taxonomic alternative, which is to transfer one or both of the taxa to one of the existing early hominin genera, is not without problems. But we recommend that for the time being both Homo habilis and Homo rudolfensis should be transferred to the genus Australopithecus. Bernard Wood, Mark Collard, The Human Genus, Science, Volume 284, number 5411, 2 April 1999, page 65 to 71. The conclusion of Wood and Collard corroborates the conclusion that ape-like human ancestors do not exist in history. Creatures that are alleged to be so are actually apes that ought to be assigned to the genus Australopithecus. The fossil record shows that there is no evolutionary link between these extinct apes and Homo, i.e., human species that suddenly appears in the fossil record. Surprising, isn't it? Next week I will continue with the rest of the hominin evolution. But for now, allow me to thank you for watching and hope to see you next week.